The forest has always attracted us. It seemed that something ancient and forgotten was hidden behind his silence. We went there without any special expectations, just friends with cameras, backpacks, and a desire to spend the weekend in nature. Someone said that a strange creature had been seen in these places. Someone claimed that these were just stories invented for tourists. We laughed, argued, and were sure that the usual hike was ahead of us. At first, it really was like that. The road, laughter, conversations. The camera recorded every moment. As we walked along the path, as the branches fell, as the sun broke through the crowns. But the further away we got from civilization, the more the mood changed. The jokes became shorter, the laughter less frequent. We noticed oddities that we had previously ignored. The first was the feeling that we were being watched. Sometimes it seemed that someone was following, hiding behind the trees. Rustling in the bushes, cracking of dry branches, muffled sounds like heavy breathing. We tried to blame it on the animals, but animals don't break branches at human height. Footprints appeared on the ground. Huge, elongated, similar to human feet, but 3 times bigger. The step length is almost a meter. We looked at each other, and at that moment the cheerful mood disappeared completely. Even those who had laughed the loudest at the legends were now silent. The deeper we went, the more clearly it was felt that something was wrong here. It was as if the forest was living its own life, and this life had nothing to do with us. The sun disappeared behind the clouds and the shadows grew longer. The atmosphere was oppressive. When evening came, we set up camp. They lit a fire, got food, and tried to keep up the conversation, but there was tension in every word. It seemed that each of us was waiting for something. The camera kept turning into the darkness, where a solid black wall of forest began behind the campfire. The night brought the first real fear. At first, there are strange sounds. A thud like someone dropping a heavy log. Then, the crunching of branches, heavy footsteps. The camera turned on automatically. One of us grabbed it to somehow capture what was happening. In the light of the lantern, a huge shadow flashed between the trees for a second. We exchanged glances. No one dared to say what everyone thought. It's not a bear. Sleep that night was almost impossible. Every few minutes, someone jumped up from a rustle. Sometimes it seemed that someone big, something heavy, was standing right next to the tent. In the morning, we looked exhausted, but decided to continue on our way. That's when we found the lair. Among the fallen trees, in the depths of the forest, lay the bones of animals. Some are fresh, with obvious teeth marks. But what struck us most was something else. There were strange structures made of branches around, as if someone had specially folded them into the shape of an arch or a hut. Not nature, but intention. Human, or not quite human. We started arguing about whether we should go back. But before we could come to a decision, we heard a sound that made us freeze. It was a scream. Low, lingering, powerful. It echoed throughout the forest, making the air tremble. None of us have ever heard anything like this, and he appeared. At first, it was like a shadow between the trees. Then there was a silhouette, huge, taller than any human being. 2.5 meters tall, broad shoulders, massive arms. The coat is dark and matted. The face is partially hidden, but you can see that the eyes are burning in the semi-darkness. He moved slowly but confidently, like the owner of these places. We stood there in disbelief. And then, everything changed. He noticed us. At that moment, the silence of the forest was cut short. Someone screamed. The camera was shaking, capturing only chunks of movement. We ran, stumbling, falling, grabbing each other's hands. Heavy footsteps echoed behind them, as if the ground was shaking with every impact. Sometimes we would look back, and then the camera would catch his silhouette. Huge, approaching. Not in a hurry. He knew we wouldn't get far. His scream tore through the silence, drowning out everything around. One of us fell. The other one tried to help. The camera captured this moment, but then the image jerked again and went into darkness. We didn't know where anyone was. There were only screams, crying, and shortness of breath. At some point, the camera fell to the ground. She continued to shoot, but there was only grass and earth in the frame. The footsteps were getting closer. A shadow blocked out the light. The recording shows how a huge hairy leg gets into the frame. Then a massive hand, and the last thing you can hear is heavy breathing right at the microphone. The recording ends. These shots were the only proof of our meeting. Many people won't believe it. They'll say it's a montage, that it's just a legend. But we know the truth. There's something deep in the woods that shouldn't exist. It's watching. It's waiting. And if you decide to go there, remember, the person who looks at you from the dark is not always a human being.